Thank you, Jackie, for joining us in the Predator Trends podcast.
Yep, thank you.
I would like to ask you about your role and responsibility at the AerSale.
So my role at AerSale is the Senior Vice President of Marketing and Communications. So that encompasses, of course, like most companies, a lot of things. We're in charge of course, these events, which we're here today at MRO Middle East, but also involves us, putting our brand forward and making sure that the industry is aware of who AerSale is and what it is that we do. And that can encompass things like the website, digital media, social media, as well as our CRM system and generating leads and interest for our products and services.
And how does your role supports AerSale aftermarket MRO and asset management strategy?
So the role has a lot of different ways that we support that part of our business, but primarily where we come into play is generating awareness of the services that we provide, which would be airframe MRO, component MRO, as well as our landing gear services, teardowns, and that means doing things like e-blast, reaching out to the marketplace and making sure that they have awareness of what it is that we offer, but generating leads for our businesses. So that comes in a lot of different ways. So the way we're representing the AerSale brand to the marketplace is not just, it's like a multi-pronged approach. So we have things like social media to generate brand awareness, but a lot of outreach to our customers and contacting them on a regular basis to make sure they're aware of the services that we provide, capacity that we have, as well as our capabilities. So again, it's a lot of communication outward to generate interest so that we then can build leads for our sales team so they can reach out to the customers and help support them based on what their needs are.
Okay. So what strategic initiatives are currently driving growth across AerSale MRO and part business?
So a lot of the strategic initiatives are driven around the fact that we have an airline industry that's flying their aircraft longer. They're flying them longer hours, but also keeping them longer. And a lot of that's driven by the fact that the OEMs are delayed in some areas in delivering aircraft. And so because of that, there's need for our services, especially component MROs and our landing gear overhaul business. So strategically, the company really wants to make sure that we're reaching out to the operators within the industry and making sure that, A, they know that we're here to support them and making sure that we are able to meet their needs so that they can keep their aircraft flying. Because let's face it, if aircraft don't make money sitting on the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. So what role do partnerships play in AerSale's long-term strategy?
I think a better way to answer that question would be not so much about partnerships, but more about relationships. Because my opinion is that this industry is very much relationship driven. And so our team members spend a lot of time developing relationships with airlines, operators, lessors, so that we can understand what it is that they need to keep their fleets flying. And so when we have those relationships and they know that we're there to support them, they're going to reach out to us to use our services. So I think the better focus is more relationship based as opposed to like long-term partnerships, which we have. But again, it's all about understanding our customers' needs and being able to fulfill those needs.
Okay. So what major trends are shaping the aircraft aftermarket and MRO industry today?
I think the biggest trend is the one that I mentioned previously, and the fact that airlines and operators are keeping their aircraft longer, again, driven by the delays in the OEM deliveries. And so because of that, because they're keeping their aircraft longer, they need more maintenance services. So components need to be repaired, landing gear needs to be overhauled. Sometimes because they have aircraft that need to go down for maintenance, they're going to need to lease engines, and other assets from us like APUs. So because of the fact that we've got an industry that's flying their aircraft longer, then of course more maintenance is needed as those aircraft age.
Yeah, okay. So what impact are supply chain constraints and part availability having on the industry?
I would say that I think the supply chain situation isn't quite as severe as it was a few years ago, especially on the heels of COVID. I don't think we're seeing as many supply chain constraints from our perspective. I mean, certainly there are some issues, but we seem to be able to manage our business and support our customers without too much issues. So I think it's playing less of a role. I think there's pockets of issues, but not so much from when we look at our MRO business.
Okay. So what immediate challenges do tariffs create for cross-border movement of components and materials used in the MRO application?
So the tariff situation is actually pretty interesting because
Yeah.
I think initially there was a lot of concern, also
Yeah.
a lot of unknown as to what the tariffs were going to mean to our industry, and obviously significant concern. We're fortunate in the fact that the aviation parts in many instances are somewhat exempt from that tariffs. That's not 100% the case, but with certain countries that is the case. So the tariffs have become less of a factor for us, but certainly something we have to watch very closely because it could certainly change. But it is something that we have a team at AerSale that just monitors the tariffs and any sort of regulatory compliance that we need to be aware of. We have a team that monitors that on a daily basis and then feeds that information to our senior leadership so that we can make sure that we're being as smart and strategic as possible, and also sometimes tactical to make sure that we're providing the best value to our customers and our end users, especially those who are outside the United States.
So what do you see the long-term impact of the tariffs?
I think it's hard to say. I think long term it's a little bit hard to say. I don't have the crystal ball, but I think at the end of the day, I think the long-term impact isn't going to be as significant as originally thought. But again, I think that it's still an evolving situation that we have to watch very closely.
Right. So how is the digitalization improving efficiency and turnaround times in the MRO operations?
So digitization, frankly, to me is like the quiet leader in our industry, right? Digitization is changing the way we do a lot of things. And for us as an organization, we're seeing that in our airframe MRO business where we're able to, because we have a lot of information now at our fingertips on iPads, we don't have team members that are wasting time walking across the floor, going to offices to try and get, things signed off, get their work orders and the projects done by, literally logistically spending all this time running around. And so digitization has really become the quiet leader in our industry in terms of operating efficiency. That's really made a difference for us. So we're seeing better turn times, which would be certainly a big advantage to us, being able to operate more efficiently and do things quicker in our business. So digitization is making a huge difference, and I think it's just beginning. And I think we're going to see that continue to evolve, especially as an organization that invests a lot of money in ways that we can optimize our business from a digital standpoint. I think there's a ton of opportunity for us as an organization, and I think we're just seeing the beginning of that. But already we're seeing a great impact on turn times.
So what keeps you most optimistic about the future of MRO aftermarket?
Most optimistic? I think as a young company, we're coming up on 20 years old, and we're really starting to see our company make huge strides in this industry. We already were, but we were kind of the quiet entry into this business. And what keeps us really optimistic is the fact that the industry's growing. There's a lot of new markets coming to surface where, previously they didn't have as large an infrastructure, as large as a fielded aircraft base. Now we're seeing that start to change. So for us, what we're really optimistic about, of course, is growth in the global market for the airline industry that then helps us grow globally as an organization, which has traditionally been a very US-centric organization. For us, there's a lot of opportunity outside the United States, and we're really excited about that.
And last but not the least, how do you see the outlook for 2026 for AerSale?
Oh gosh, for 2026, the outlook, of course, is certainly a great outlook. We've just opened a new structures MRO facility in South Florida. It's one of the largest structures MRO facility in Florida. We have one of the largest ovens in the state of Florida, and so we're super excited about our structures repair capability. We're also getting ready to launch a new pneumatics shop also in Miami, where we can support airlines coming in and out of Miami International Airport as well as Fort Lauderdale. So for us, what we're excited about is the fact that we're growing as an organization and we're increasing our capabilities and also increasing our capacity so we can support the growing industry.
Thank you, Jackie, for your time, and it has been great talking to you.
Thank you, Sanjay. Always happy to see you.
Very much.
Thank you so
very
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.